Foundation that is for the licensing system as we've got at the moment. Two clubs that would have been relegated had the licensing system not been in operation, and showing wonderful signs of improvement in 2013. And here is Jamal Fakir.
Well, that's the operative word in regards to St Helens tonight, Eddie. They have to improve. That was not an impressive display in the first 40. And no doubt Nathan Brown would have had plenty to say. They certainly didn't have the same zip as what Catalan has shown, and this guy's put himself about, hasn't he? Leon Price.
He has. It's his 40th Catalan appearance, the 435th of his career. 193 tries so far for Leon Price, 73 of them in 160 appearances for the Saints, and he's loving every minute of this.
And so is the Catalan coach, because he knows that the forwards are getting on top of the opposition. That's not a bad little kick over there from Thomas Boss. The chase is pretty good.
What we witnessed in the first 40 minutes was perfectly illustrated by Phil's middle graph at the halftime break, Eddie. For the first 20 minutes, we were wondering where a try was going to come from, and in that period, St Helens were getting to their kick and completing their sets. But in the last 20 minutes, but excluding the last 2 minutes where they had a penalty, kick to the corner, and the clock was running out, they had 6 sets. 4 of them they turned over on the 3rd tackle, the 5th on the 4th tackle, and in 1 occasion they got to their kick. Unable to complete their sets meant the Catalan Dragons were able to come back into the game. So that's the lesson for St Helens. You're shorn of all your major stars. Start playing a little bit more conservative, get to your kick, and work your way, as John Wells said, back into this game.
Well, they're at the kick here, and it was nearly a porridge that was made of it by Makinson and O'Hire, but he got the kick away in the end. And here comes Vakary again. Whoa! Was that a shoulder charge I saw there from Josh Jones?
Well, he certainly attempted one. He took it well to the winger, didn't he?
It's 2 shoulder charges,
yeah,
actually.
That should have been penalised. Pretty high as well. So that's the biggest problem for St Helens at the moment. They just can't handle the power of these big forwards.
And this fellow's making a huge name for himself, isn't he? Escaré. Now Price. Back on the inside it goes. Great offload. Here's Escaré again. Bosk will just drill that ball into the corner.
What a wonderful kick. Absolutely superb. Talk about controlling the game. Okay, it'll be a head and feed by St Helens, but he knows what it's all about when you've got a 12-0 lead. Just keep turning them around and around and around. This is the shoulder charge there. Away with it, could have been penalised. He's having a fine game, the combination. We said before this game started, Eddie, that if Catalan forwards could lay that wonderful platform, the experience of Price and Boss has certainly come to the fore, and throwing the offloads and the good running by the likes of Gregory Muniz, Remy Casti. They've been too hot for the St Helens side.
Talking of things too hot, Leeds a little bit too hot for the London Broncos. Decent first half from the Broncos by the looks of things, but Leeds now 20-0 up, and 2 games in hand on the rest for the champions. They're looking very dangerous in 2013. All the pictures from Headingley in Super League extra time tonight via those red buttons when we are finished here. And let's get some half-time news on this one from Bill.
Not a lot coming out of the Saints camp, but I can tell you that Nathan Brown and Kieran Cunningham came out of that dressing room after their half-time talk looking really stern-faced, and I think the word is that Saints have really got to up the effort in the middle of the park. They know they're up against this formidable Catalan pack, but they've got to somehow try and work their way back into this game, because Catalan's domination looks like continuing the way they've set off in this second half. That's despite the fact that Daryl Millard will play no further part this evening. It was, as Brian first guessed, a hamstring problem. Turns out that Daryl Millard actually suffered a hamstring strain about 10 days ago in training, seemed to have recovered, came through a test yesterday, and it obviously recurred in this game this evening. So Daryl Millard out, and that is another blow. It could be a serious one. They've already lost Olivier Elmer this week. Now they've lost Daryl Millard.
Our inflation with problems off the field, but on the field it's all going according to plan so far. Jamal Fakir is taking it forward again here, and it's a devil's own job to put him down, isn't it?
Certainly is, but as you can see, what a great drive, 54 metres.
It goes high off the boot of Leon Price on this, the last tackle. Well claimed by young Makinson, playing his 4th game in a row at fullback.
Great advantage. You can see the height that Price got with that kick. Allowed the Catalan team to advance forward. It was a good take by the fullback, but the one big problem for Saints is that they just can't get into the opposition half.
No, Adam Swift, Francis Melly, Mark Percival, Jordan Turner, Ohio Wilkin having a job to get the ball over halfway. And here comes Paul Clough. They only make about 6, 7, maybe 8 metres progress on every play the ball look, and here we are on the last tackle. And Sia Soliola, they're going to have a little run with this one, and no wonder. Soliola with the break, he's got Wilkin in support, and Wilkin gets it back to Soliola. He runs into the back of one of his own players, gets over in the end. Soliola's break, Soliola's try, just what they needed, Saints. Great try, actually. He had an impressive match, this fellow in the side that was beaten at Hull Kingston Rovers last weekend.
Well, they went for the power play. Catalan, they stood back, they anticipated the kick, but the big fella put himself through the gap. Wilkin had the wherewithal to make sure he gave the pass, and Soliola has dragged this St. Helens side back into a game that they never really looked as though they wanted to be involved. But now it's a different kettle of fish, and Soliola has given them the lifeline. They only made one clean break in the first half. Now they've matched that through this fella, and not only that, he took the pass from Wilkinson, and a very subdued St. Helens crowd in that first 40 minutes all of a sudden have found their voice, and they need to lift their side.
Well, he collided with Mark Percival as he made his way through the line, but he just pushed this young man out of the way and eventually made it. It was a tremendous break, the first one really that I can remember that Saints have made in this match. Maybe 2, maybe one other, but the only one that has produced anything. And Mark Percival with the opportunity here now to add the extras. Broke into the team last month, this fellow, on an England academy tour to Australia last year. Wonderful prospect, as so many of this St. Helens team is tonight. And Percival adds 2 points to the total. It's game on now. Saints 6, Catalan 12.
Well, that's the first opportunity that Catalan really should have anticipated. They held back. They thought that it was going to be another kickathon, and that's all we've seen from St. Helens up until this particular moment. And Leon Price is laying down the law to Steve Menzies, and Steve Menzies will be saying we should have anticipated that they didn't go for the kick, went for the power play.
Well, he might be saying you should have stuck your shoulder into Sia Soliola. If anybody who's watching Stats Pack during the week, Sia Soliola was selected by the Hull Kingston Rovers players as the best St. Helens player in that game that you mentioned, Eddie. John Wilkin makes a half break, so he is in good form, and that try was well deserved.
Yes, it was well deserved, and it was Leon Price, by the way, who missed the tackle initially on Sia Soliola. Boots and All Stats Pack is available via the red button. First showing of Boots and All on Wednesday nights, 6 o'clock usually, and then of course it's available online in the days thereafter. Very well worth a watch too if you're a rugby league fanatic. There's some tremendous words of wisdom from the two guys. And at the bottom of the screen now, all the Super League shows and the rugby league that we have for you on Sky Sports during the course of the week. Plenty of support programs around the 2 big matches we bring you each and every weekend.
It's important now that Saints will be lifted by that try, but don't just go to sleep. Make sure that that adrenaline is pumping through them. As I say, that first half they were lacking in a lot of areas. would have been a concern to Nathan Brown, their coach. That's not a bad kick there from Henderson.
Oh, and a little flick unfortunately went behind Francis Melly. Managed to pick it up.
They're still stretched, make no mistake, although they've got to try to get themselves back into this game. This St. Helens side are still stretched. They're just about containing the Catalan Dragons. It was a wonderful piece of play to get them over the line to score. But they still need to stick to the basics, stick to the principles, get to your kick and keep working and keep trying to tire out this Catalan Dragons defence.
See Soliola standing, but Menzies getting to him this time, as did Thomas Bosk downstairs. And was that high from Menzies across the chest of Lou McCarthy-Scarsbrook? No, it wasn't. Good run from Clough. They're running with a bit more vim and vigour in this second half, the Saints. Here's the kick, though, from John Wilkin. It goes up high.
Snow on this one.
Well claimed. Oh, they have a man out wide, Jordan Turner. He didn't go that way, though. He gets it back, as it turns out, to Makinson. Here's young Swift. And Swift is trapped by Menzies. Well, it's an old boys reunion tonight. Nathan Brown, the St Helens coach, and the assistant for the Catalan Dragons, David Waite. Nathan played under David for St George in Australia in 1999 and 2000. Now they're on opposite sides of the coaching fence tonight.
Well, Eddie, it's going to get a little bit more difficult for St Helens now. Number 16 for the Catalan Dragons is coming onto the field. Eloi Pelissier. He is absolutely like lightning coming out of dummy half. I expect him to get in there and play and cause all sorts of problems to some tired St Helens defenders. Keep an eye on him in the 16 jersey.
Yes, we will. And that might just give Ian Henderson a little bit more latitude. I think Bill has got some news on it. Have you, Bill?
Well, it's not just Pelissier, it's Jason Bateri they've thrown on as well, so they really are in danger of livening things up, because Bateri's no slouch either. And just to point out Pelissier's interesting hairstyle, he's not really entered into the spirits of this charity thing they're doing here this evening.
Yes, the players every year they do launch the Operation Moustache to support a Friends Association that is involved in dedicating to fighting childhood leukemia and other childhood cancers, and the players have all been giving themselves haircuts during the course of the week in their training base in Manchester.
The last few minutes are a clear indication of how the last play in rugby league, when the referee says you've had 5, this is the 6th play, are so important. Think about St Helens. They ran it on the last and scored. They put a high kick up and almost scored. And then in contrast, Catalan Dragons here now, the last one was a flimsy kick over the top and easily gathered by St Helens without any pressure. When the referee says it's the end of your set of possession, what happens is massively important.
McCarthy-Scarsbrook taking it forward, halted just inside his own half of the field. This is the last one. Here is a kick again from Wilkin. And well watched by Escaray, and he asks Damien Blanche to come towards him and then decides to take responsibility himself. Elusive run of this young man.
Yeah, he's not trying to take them on, and
Greenwood did well, to be fair.
it's amazing how he catches the ball, you know. It's so unorthodox. Certainly not out of the coaching manual, that's for sure.
Now
It's just
Tyre.
yeah, it's just about just settling things down now. Catalan side realising that they were just rocking slightly.
Pelissier.
Just as he get himself into a good position. Oh, they've given away a final penalty. Silly play by Clough. Just went and
High shot.
bit of a grapple in the end. Thierry would have felt that, and you see it. Trying to get away with it, Greenwood. Pulled it away at the end.
That's a killer, Steve-O.
Yep.
They're up against it tonight, St Helens. We know the players that they're missing, and that is always going to put them up against the Catalan side that have close to full complement. I know there's a few senior players missing for them, but penalties like that are really going to make it difficult. We saw how much Catalan were able to turn territory into tries in the first half. Well, you'd sense it might be coming again now in the second half. There could be a try coming.
Good run from Muniz, just shrugged one defender off him, and then offside, another penalty for the Catalan Dragons.
I would take the 2. I wouldn't be messing around, and there's confirmation.
Jérôme Guisset with the signal.
Do you think that's a hangover when they played at home against Leeds and Kevin Sinfield elected to kick at goal? In fact, when you've watched Leeds a bit this season, they probably take this option more than other teams. I guess with his accuracy, that makes it extra 2 points quite easy.
Well, it's virtually in front, Phil, and you know, they had a 6-point lead. St. Helens were getting back into the game. There's no better way than to just refute your opposition and just say, we'll take the 2, settle things down.
Yeah, it's hard to pick out a right or wrong answer. I just felt that was a chance for Catalan Dragons to maybe turn the screw, stay down there and maybe post more points than the 2 that Thomas Bosch should get from here. But Lauren Fraser has obviously sent the message out to Jerome Guisset, take the 2.
Yes, obviously the message went down via that microphone he's talking into now, and Jerome Guisset passed the message on to his players. Brian mentioning the fact that Catalan Dragons have got some senior personnel missing. There's no doubt about that. Brent Webb, Olivia Ellimer out for 4 months, Scott Durow. They haven't seen much of Damien Cardass this year, and they've now, of course, also lost Daryl Millard. So it's taking its toll. But here, Bosch gets the 2 points from the penalty and stretches the lead. 14 points to 6.
You know, I get the impression that Jerome Guisset took that upon his shoulders without actually asking the coach whether they wanted the 2. It looked to me as though he was saying, well, you know, I'm sorry, but I thought the 2 was important.
Well, it means that Saints have got to score twice, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
and he might have taken a bit of advice from you, Steve. He might have had, you know, he might have had a little squeak on the commentary, you never know, in his ear.
Hope he hasn't.
This guy kicking off's interesting for St. Helens. Sometimes you can't tell where all the action's taking place. He's the top tackler on the field for the Saints, Jordan Turner. So much traffic gone his way, and they're attempting, I guess, to run over through him or around him at some point as the game wears on.
Yes, he's ever present, is Jordan Turner from Hull last year. Pellissier gets the pass away. Peya.
They've been impressive, the Catalan forwards, haven't they? They've shared the workload.
Well, they're big, aren't they? They're so big.
And it takes its toll late in the game. Oh, that's good play.
Yeah, Greenwood couldn't put a hand on him. This is Muniz driving it forward to the halfway line. Now it's Leon Price. Back he comes to Thomas Bosch. Thomas Bosch is running this. He's got Price in support. That was a brilliant pass. And that is going to be a great bit of defence, as it turned out, by Lance O'Hire. I thought the Price was over. They might have just delayed the inevitable Saints. Escaray smuggles it back to Henderson. He dabbed it to the in-goal area. Percival gets a hand to it, and they're going to get a goal line dropout. It could have been a lot worse for Saints, that.
It certainly should. And the hooker gets a little kick away. Percival makes sure he'll get the ball from the dropout, but he put himself in a good position. Was there an opportunity there, Leon Price, that he could have passed?
More than an opportunity, Steve-O, but I'll tell you, if you defend like this with this much enthusiasm, you're going to give yourself a chance in a game. That is wonderful defence from St. Helens. You're right, Leon Price had the opportunity to put a smile on that man's face, but I'm sure he'll appreciate the defence that St. Helens showed.
Just noticed that James Tilley has come on, the 19-year-old wearing number 32 on his back. He made a debut against Castleford on Easter Monday. He is the 6th academy product to make his Super League debut for Saints this year, and that's tremendous. Tremendous defence, and Tilley involved in it too, and forcing the error from Jason Battieri.
Yeah, he took his eyes off the ball. You could see he was looking at who was coming towards him, and it was that man, James Tilley. He's made an impact. Well pleased his coach Nathan Brown, but it looks as though that this Catalan side have weathered the storm. That try from Saints lifted their spirits. It looked as though they were going to get even more points on the board, but you've got to give credit to this Catalan defence. They've scrambled back.
You say it again though, Steve-O, wouldn't you? St. Helens are just about hanging into this game. They've got to be very careful because it could go away from them. I know there's not that much on the scoreboard, but again, I'll emphasise, St. Helens, you've got to get to your kick, you've got to get to complete.
I know comparisons are usually a bit risky, but you know, my mind goes back, gentlemen, to Leeds Rhinos in the early days of Super League when they blooded the likes of Maguire and Sinfield and Burrow and company because they had all sorts of injury problems in that year. And look what Leeds have done over the past decade. I mean, we're watching as much as the present of St Helens here tonight. We're also watching the future, aren't we?
Yeah, without a doubt. And, you know, under Mike Rush has done a fine job, hasn't he, over the years. But they need something different, and that's the offload. Oh, that looked a touch forward, but they've got away with it. Wilkin trying his damnedest.
Makinson.
And this is where the likes of Lanto Higher now has got to ask a few questions. His opposite, Leon Price, has been outstanding.
It's a nice little didn't kick it. It nearly came up for Percival. He got away with it. That was feet in, I think.
Somebody is absolutely face down here, Eddie, and has not stirred.
Damien Blanche. She's flat out. There's a clash of heads. It's an elbow, Esquerré's elbow.
Into the elbow or the shoulder, either way. Blanche felt it.
What a great kick. I hope Damien Blanche is okay, and he's just a mild injury and a setback for him here. But it was difficult. It was bouncing awkwardly, bobbling from one player between the other. Neither of them sure who it belonged to. And that's the great thing, that St Helens in the second half have made those kicks awkward for their opponents.
Yeah, a bit of hesitation between Blanche and Esquerré. He's a talent, though, isn't he, this kid?
You know, incredibly, for St Helens, their only win in the last 4 home meetings against the Catalan Dragons actually came at Widnes in 2011.
He's got some flash glasses, David Wade, hasn't he? He'll look at Sven-Goran Eriksson about him.
I'm sure he'll be pleased about that.
Damien Blanche just... is he staying on the field? Yes, I think he is. Looks like he got a bit of a clout just above the eye on the temple there. So here comes Battieri again. To the hour mark.
Important now, Saints just hammer them, keep them down there, try to force the error.
No penalties, Steve-O, that's the big one.
Yep.
No penalties. Do not give the referee an opportunity to put his whistle in his mouth now.
And for the first time, I think we heard the St Helens fans actually singing, "Oh, they've given away the penalty."
Well, he gave the referee no option there.
Yeah, you put the mocker on him, Brian.
Give him some credit, though. That was a brilliant run from Simon. It was brave. There were 4 angry defenders in front of him. He ran hard, he hit them, kept on going, and it's helped, I think, with his effort to get his side now out of their own half in a tricky situation.
I often wonder why on earth they've done all the hard work. Why does a forward want to put his hand and bury the opponent's head into the ground right in front of the official? Having said that, well, I must say that the referee has been very, very good today.
Pelissier with a nice little run. Must be the influence of the new team. John Sharp and Steve Ganson, Steve-O.
Yeah, well, I must say, Will Bentham has certainly handled this quite well, though I don't think the Saints fans will be happy. That's the second occasion that McCarthy Scarsbrook has come up with a silly penalty. One was trying to bury the head. That one was trying to take it off his shoulders.
Fourth penalty of this second half for the Catalan Dragons. Only 4 in the half.
You concede that play of the ball. Just accept that you're not going to win it, you're not going to slow him down, and back your teammates to defend. Do not take the shortcut. He's done it now on 2 occasions. That's it, you've done enough there. Stop it, leave him go.
I think this is a great decision if you're a St Helens supporter, because it keeps your team in the game. If he kicks this, it's 2 more points. Had they scored a try and made it 6, then I don't think the Saints have got enough points left in them in the final quarter. But if it goes to a 10-point lead, as one suspects this might here now, that's a 2-try advantage. The Saints have shown with the try they scored, they can score from anywhere. Will they be the team to get out of jail tonight?
Well, remember what happened last year when the Catalan Dragons did, and how many teams have St Helens done it to in the past. But Thomas Bosk has kicked the penalty, and the blood and gold flag of the Catalan Dragons flying in St Helens tonight, and he'll be delighted. Laurent Freyssinou will be absolutely thrilled with what he has seen this evening.
I'm not a linguist, but I think that's actually Welsh written on the flag. I think that could be the Catalan Dragons North Wales supporters group. I think it's the blood and gold written in Welsh. There you go.
Well, Well done, Brian. Only wish he knew English as well.
It's a mine of information.
Well, he can speak a bit of French.
On this team, that's for sure.
He can speak a bit of Irish. He can do English, and he obviously can do Welsh now as well.
Multilingual.
16-6, the Catalan Dragons are ahead. It's their 99th away fixture in Super League, this. They've been beaten in 59 of those. It'll take a huge effort from St Helens tonight to add to that total of away defeats. They've got 18 minutes to rescue the match, and they're 10 points in arrears. And Price really has controlled things. And so is this fellow, Henderson. The bounce is kind for Francis Melly.
Yeah, the key positions have been outstanding tonight. Two half-backs, Price, Boss. The second half, we've seen a lot more of the administration coming from Thomas Boss. First half was more from Leon Price. Boss has taken first receiver, Price has gone out, but that is the defence. That's been the key factor. Good work there by Pelissier.
Well, you know, the stats, when you look at the meters like that, would suggest that the Catalan Dragons should be winning by probably twice what they currently are. But you see, the key performance indicators would suggest they've got maybe a 20-point lead, not a 10-1 that they currently have. So there is some hope here at the moment. But against the run of play it would be now, if the St Helens side here could magic up a second try.
Well, the crowd saw something not quite right with that tackle, but the referee didn't. Escaré goes down.
I think the most disappointing thing that we've seen from St Helens, I mean, over the years, they've been absolutely outstanding, fantastic. Yes, I know they've got key players out, but they were the real entertainers for many, many years.
Those days are long gone, Steve.
Yeah, I realise that. But
Long, Cunningham, Sculthorpe, no longer there.
I know, but it's just disappointing to say that they only did one particular thing. They went on the power play, scored a try, and yet all they've done is go back to the kicking game, which was not successful in the first half, and they've gone into a shy period.
Last tackle coming up here for the Dragons, and that wasn't the best kick either from Thomas Bosk.
Well, it's not just Steve-O that thinks that, really. A legend of the club, Alex Murphy, has said during the week that he does think St Helens need to go out, need to break the bank to buy a world-class halfback. John Wilkins done an admirable job in there with Lance Ohio. Johnny Lomax should be coming back from injury, but they will probably play him in the full-back role. So St Helens, you would think, should go out and do some shopping and maybe get themselves a half.
Where will they go shopping?
I'm going to say that. I was just about to say that, Eddie, that I think the shops on this short, we struggle to get half-backs anyway, don't we, at the moment? Well, that's a little bit better.
From Jones.
Yeah, much better. At least they're giving it some air. Through the hands, that is, rather than the kick.
Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook is tackled on tackle 5. Is it going to be a kick here again? It is. High from Wilkin. Back to type. But easy for the fullback, Morgan Escaré. Straight down to Bill.
There's Saints fans around me getting very frustrated with the way things are panning out at the moment. They're venting their frustration at referee Phil Bentham for the fury of the number of calls they're not getting from the man in the middle, but I think it's really he's the target for the frustration with the way their side isn't able to make a dent in this Catalan Dragons defence at the moment.
That's because they've been brilliant.
Well, they've been very good.
Absolutely brilliant.
They've been very good, and the crowd have been just a little bit quiet. Haven't heard the Saints go marching in much tonight, have we? Simon to his feet.
Only once have they broken into song.
Good run from Casti.
He's been impressive. Casti, Muniz. In fact, the entire pack of forwards have done their job, and the two halfbacks have just controlled things out there.
That's a great kick. Look at the chase led by Henderson. Oh, but he's missed it. And here goes Makinson. Makinson on the riposte. Escaré missed the tackle. Simon didn't. Now then.
It's got to be penalised.
Yes, it's a penalty. And actually, that could be a yellow card.
It is a yellow
turning point.
Game on, boys.
Yeah. I can feel a game coming on here. Little doubt in the mind of the official. They made a right meal of it. Simon.
So off he goes. The Dragons down to 12 men for the next 10 minutes, and a crucial 10 minutes as well, because it's only 10 points.
That man playing the ball, Eddie, has been outstanding. He's been their main strike weapon, Sia Soliola. So much has gone on his shoulders, and he's accepted that responsibility and delivered.
Yellow card, and the Saints go marching in. The crowd start to sing. Howarth gives it to Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook. He's immediately cut down. Howarth again fires a long pass to Wilkins. Short ball then from him.
You know, that's 4 of the 6 players used, and there didn't seem to be that many questions asked.
Howarth again. Here's Soliola. So close. They managed to hold him out. Escaré and Casti. This is the last. Oh, tiny pass.
It's a shocker.
Makinson. Here comes Jordan Turner. Stabs it down the line. Well picked up by Escaré. Here goes the young man.
He'll take him on. Don't worry about that. That is great. That is great play from the young fullback.
And Makinson did well as well.
Yeah, but he didn't go on the outside. Didn't take any risk to anywhere near the touchline.
I think we should give Tommy Makinson some credit too, because his break was the start of a possible revival for St Helens. But the Dragons have been good enough when under pressure tonight. Again, Escaré picking up that difficult kick and getting them back into the opponent's half.
Here's Bertieri. Solid tackling again from Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook. Pelissier and Price went to go left, came up the middle. 26-6 leads against London. Later score there. Bosk off the outside of the boot. Oh! And it was almost a crucial error. Makinson to the rescue again. He's having a right go at his fellow players.
Well, there's no real call for this, but it was a testing kick, wasn't it, there from Thomas Bosk? He's got the kicking radar. Superb. Look at the break here. Now watch. He'll say, OK, I won't panic. Come inside, go down, don't go anywhere near the touchline.
So a little mistake from Wilkin, and Makinson palming the ball dead. So Laurent Freycineux's men facing a goal line dropout here, that gets to halfway. Bosk just will pop it up to Bertieri. Solid 20 metres made. Pellissier is waiting, finds Henderson, who has a bit more of a freer role now that Pellissier is on.
Well, he's having to take a centre position, isn't he? With the fact that Daryl Millard will take no further play. Oh, that looked high.
Casti just went through the would-be challenge of Wilkin.
Been impressive, hasn't he, the prop forward, Casti.
Pellissier, and here's Henderson. On the inside it goes. Escaré, and off the fingertips of Menzies. And Saints have got the ball back. And the referee will play the knock-on.
Yeah, no advantage to the St Helens side.
St Helens might not win, but they deserve some credit for the way they've tried to prevent their opponents from scoring. Time and again, you'd expect the Dragons, with the dominance they've had, to have a few more points on the board. And it's been a brave and commendable effort from a lot of those young St Helens players wearing the shirt for the start of their career here with the famous club, and doing it with a great deal of pride.
It's a big problem for Ian Henderson. He's down receiving treatment, whether that's just a delaying tactics, I'm not right sure, but he looks as though he's in some considerable pain. He's a tough hombre, this fella.
He is one of their better performers. I'm sure you'll speak to Nathan Brown after the game, Eddie, about some of these young players, and he's got to be proud and glad that he's got the opportunity to blood them. I'm sure he'd love 2 competition points out of tonight. Probably won't get them, but what he will do is get more players in his squad with first team experience. Then when he brings back the stars, well, they'll be all the better for it. So you can see the Henderson injury picked up here. Well, he's got his right leg cut in underneath the tackle and looked awkward in the end. They won't want to risk him, but he is very, very tough and will want to stay on.
He will, but he can hardly walk, as you can see. Ian Henderson, 70th Dragons' appearance tonight. Third season in France. He's a grand final winner, of course, with the Bradford Bulls in 2005, so knows what it takes to get to and win at Old Trafford. I wonder if this is going to be the year of the Dragons.
Well, their defence tonight and their approach to the game has been impressive. Off a disappointing loss last week, both these sides. I must say that of the two outfits, it's been the Dragons that have got back on the horse and impressive.
Still have the man in the sin bin. Oh, here's a chance for Walmsley on the break, and he has got the evergreen Paul Wellens, but what a great tackle back by Escaray.
Well, that should have been a penalty because Lancer Hyatt was held back. Now, whether he's going to give the advantage, he probably is.
He isn't.
Well, that should have been a penalty.
I'm not sure Ohio was held, but anyway, he ran into the full-back, but here is Wellens. That's all academic now. This is Josh Jones. And they hold on to him, and down he goes just a metre shy of the line. It's the turnover. Look at this. Ohio actually bumps the young man out of the way. He couldn't get himself back into the marker position.
Yeah, but when the break was made, Lance Ohio was pulled back. I have no doubt about that. That should have been a penalty to St. Helens.
There's been a sleepy feel about the crowd for some time, but if St. Helens can score us Friday, we've got one of the most dramatic finishes we'll possibly get in the season. The Dragons are starting to tire. They've had some injuries which have changed the personnel around the field, and they'll be very grateful that players like Zeb Taylor have carried the ball so strongly for them in this second half.
Yes, Simon still in the sin bin as well. A final score at Headingley, Leeds have won 30 points to 6. So job done for the champions.
Running repairs for Steve Menzage out on this right-hand side.
Oh, and that kick just not quite got the angle right, goes dead in goal.
He won't worry about that. It's been an impressive performance by Thomas Bosk in the kicking department, especially in the second half.
Simon watching on there from the sideline and in the sin bin, anxious.
It's been a great effort, you know. Catalan down to 12 men. There's a big problem with his hand. Well, he's tried his damnedest, this fella, hasn't he?
He has.
Saliola.
And he's going to be a good player too in time. Alex Walmsley's been very impressive, the bits I've seen of him this season. A massive future and big 5-10 years ahead of him.
Wellens gets the ball away to Makinson. Here is Jordan Turner, and there's a bit of space for Turner down that side. Flings the pass in field. It was forward. Makinson touches it down, but it was a forward pass.
Good work by Jordan Turner. One of the very few opportunities that the centre has had tonight.
Another Catalan Dragons player down, by the way, as we watch this.
Just put enough pressure on it.
You know, Eddie, when you look back at the record books recently, you can see that St. Helens, for the last 8 seasons, have never finished outside the top 3. And then you ask yourself, how are they so consistent? Well, there's something within their DNA that even when they've been outplayed in a game and it looks as though the opponents are going to go away as the winners, they can come up with some magic. Now, they haven't quite found it yet tonight, but if one of those tries is scored, then I'll tell you what, you'll back them to get a second one in the final 5 minutes. They've shown enough in the last 15 here now. They've got some pace. They've just not put the ball over the line.
That's right, and when you think this is a very big week for the Saints because it's the Challenge Cup next week, Super League takes a breather, and the Saints have to go to Hull KR, where they were beaten last week.
Well, that was a deliberate steal.
And they've not been to Wembley for 5 years, the Saints.
Watch the arm of McCarthy Scarsbrook.
That's 3 in a row, isn't it, for McCarthy Scarsbrook?
Yeah, he gets the hand underneath. Thought he could kid the official, couldn't. Hasn't been the best night for this fella.
That's 3, Lewis.
What have we got? 6 minutes and counting, and 10 points for the Saints to make up, and the Catalan Dragons to hang on.
We argue sometimes, Eddie, about a loose carry and a steal, but sometimes if you've been penalised 2 already, you just got to concede. Don't go near the ball. Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook again has put his team under pressure. He's been good in attack. Just some of those mistakes in defence have mean the Catalan Dragons have again another chance to turn the ball over down near the St. Helens line at worst.
Well, the most important factor is that one of those penalties.
There's a problem here for Batiri, I think. There is a major problem for Batiri.
It looks as though he's got a bit of a knock on the windpipe. A knock on the Adam's apple. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
It's Lafranchi whose arm is round the throat there. Came up off the ball.
I think that's the incident where they just the grapple tackle, but it appears to be a-okay.
Teja through one and still going, getting to within 10 metres. 2 tackles left this set of 6. Catalan Dragons looking to put this game to bed here as Bosch fires the pass and finds Price. He then gives it to Greg Muniz. And this is the last one coming up here. And Bosch will dab it to the in-goal area. The chase is on. And that's okay because his foot straddled the line, so he diffuses it. It's a 20-metre restart. Here he goes.
Good work by Swift. There you see it. And the ball's moving. Put over there. That was quick thinking. But again, the kicking game second half from Thomas Bosch has been superb. Wonderful to watch. But the defence will be the thing that's been the pleasing aspect. Is that a knock-on? No, it's a penalty. I'll have to get on with it.
And ironic cheers from the crowd. The Saints have got another penalty.
Did Henderson seem to have the arm inside it? Well, if they've got a planned move up their sleeve, St. Helens.
Well, it's about the last minute of this sin bin for Simon. This could be Saint's chance with O'Hire and Lafranchi.
Well, I thought O'Hire had gone the right way because you could see that Leon Price was a bit slow to get into the defensive line.
Wilkin gets a good ball away. Chance here for a try. And I think he might have got it, Alex Walmsley. He has.
Great stuff.
Alex Walmsley celebrating his 23rd birthday on Wednesday. He's celebrating a try here that just might rescue something for St. Helens tonight. Biff, bash, barge, and over the line he went.
Was this stolen? He tried to offload it. Perhaps he'd got away with it. Frankie certainly had a little bit of luck there, but when you've got a big fella like this, get out of the way. He's raw bone. It's game on.
It certainly is, because Percival has taken the extras quickly. 16-12. Could Saints mount the greatest comeback since last February by the Dragons here?
When they get close to the
hope.
line, they have a great ability of getting over it. Wolves has carried on what players like Pulitua has done for years before him. Now, the Dragons are back to 13 players and they're trying to suck in the oxygen and just kill the momentum that the opponents have with a fight back.
The referee's called time off because the Catalan Dragons are plodding to the halfway line for this kick-off.
And it has to be a deep one.
They have got...
Thomas Bosch knows this.
2 3/4 minutes to hang on. They'll hunt a mistake here. And Saints will look to get the ball quickly up the other end.
Key factor for Catalan, do not give away that penalty. They'll try to keep Saints, and for only the second time, the fans are cheering. Get it on with it.
Walmsley to his feet, will play the ball here to O'Hire. Back it comes to Wilkin. Here comes Soliola. O'Hire again. And the big fella, Walmsley, once more. 4 tackles gone. They're at halfway. They have a penalty.
Got the penalty. There you go.
The penalty, and this is massive.
Leon Price has been picked out as the man. Blood streaming from the mouth. You can see there, you're not allowed to put your hand underneath. It's quite clear.
Forget about last February. If they come back and get something out of this game, Eddie, it beats that hands down. Considering who they're missing, if they get anything out of this game, St. Helens, it'll be one of their greatest performances in recent years.
Lafranchi will drive it forward. That's the second tackle. O'Hire is waiting, and he'll find Wilkin, and Wilkin will give it to Wellens, and Wellens to Soliola, and a missile comes across in the shape of Menzies. Here's O'Hire, here is Louis McCarthy, he's just short. Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook inches short. Now O'Hire, back it comes. Wilkin finds Makinson. Oh, wide to Fitz, and Price swoops. And Price, can he go the length of the field? He might have done one day. He doesn't have to tonight, of course. Oh, but he gets inside Francis Melly before he's hauled down by O'Hire.
Well,
I think that's the game.
Cigar. Close but no cigar for the Saints. They gave it everything they possibly had here, but not enough. And a brave effort from the home side there to survive for long periods in this match and get to within the last minute with a chance of winning with their last play. They couldn't find the pass, they couldn't find the points, and it's the French side here who will be delighted with the end of a week's work in the UK. They've stayed all week since losing in Humberside last weekend. They've travelled to Langtree Park, and it looks as though with their efforts they'll pick up 2 more Super League points.
It looks that way, and Ian Henderson looking to make sure that they do, and I think he scored the try. I think Ian Henderson scored the try that wraps this match up. Brave effort from him. He's got a bad ankle. He's got the chin all pasted up. And despair for St Helens. From one end, they're a metre less than that. A metre away from levelling the match and giving them a kick to win it. And at the other end, the Dragons strike. Look at this.
Well, Elamesco's close to the line. You can clearly see he's held up. Oh, you can't look. There's a collision then when Steve Menzies goes involved. And the ball bounces kindly for the French side. And all St Helens favourite in Leon Price picks up possession and knows that they can almost run down the clock. He only has to hold on to the ball, see out the last few seconds, and in doing so he allow Henderson to go over for a final try, which might just exaggerate how close the home team here were to pulling off a remarkable fight back.
Well, Henderson will now remove all that tape around his chin. It's been a brave effort from him. Just checking the stitches are still in place. I think they are. And, well, remarkable record they've got here at St Helens. This team from Perpignan. Bosque will add the extras. And it's a 22-12 victory for the Catalan Dragons. Hard fought, but very well deserved.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, it was well deserved, Eddie, but I think they'll be a little bit disappointed with how they played in this game. The credit for me will go to St Helens. And no team likes to hold up and say, well, we had all these players out injured. They don't like to make excuses, but we can make excuses for them. And with all those quality internationals that they've got missing, put them into the side with some of these youngsters and some of the heart they showed, they have a chance. And they learned their lesson from the first half, and that's the most enjoyable thing for me to see. I'm sure, please, Nathan Brown. Cut out the errors, and you got a chance.
Well, the Heinz big man of the match is Leon Price on his return. He's with Bill.
Leon, congratulations, man of the match performance, you earned it. When the field opened up at the end there, did you think, I'm going to go all the way here?
Well, yeah, but I saw Franny coming across, and maybe 10 years ago I might have finished it, but getting a little bit older now, and just nice to get a bit of a lucky break at the end.
Well, that was it, because it just seemed as though it was going to be the old story. Saints snatching it at the end. The penalties had got them into that corner. Did you feel that that might be the way it was going?
Yeah, maybe, but I thought we deserved it tonight. I thought we were the better team, and I thought we played very well. After last week, we've had a fantastic week in camp. Our coach has been fantastic with us this week, been very honest, and we stuck to his game plan and listened to exactly what he said all week, and that was a much better performance.
Sweet to come back here and get the Man of the Match award.
I've got a lot of respect for Saints. I love my time at Saints. I had a fantastic time here. But you know, things move on and you take different paths in your life, and now I'm enjoying it at Catalan as well. But I'd also like to say thanks to the Saints fans for the support they give me over 6 years.
Well done, Leon. You got the champagne, £100 for a charity of your choice. Where's that going to go?
Going to go to Macmillan Cancer.
Macmillan Cancer. Well done, Leon. Another candidate for that money could have been Enfant et Santé, which and Jason Botteri will explain exactly why Leon's got no hair and you've got very little hair.
Yeah, look, the boys, every year we do something for charity. Enfant et Santé is our charity. The last couple of years we did moustaches. This year we've gone for the shaved heads. It's a great cause, and if we can do something to raise awareness for it, it's good stuff.
And I know there'll be a lot of people watching back in France. A lot of kids, I think, have been invited to watch tonight as well. And I think they'll have been delighted with that, although you probably made it hard for yourselves.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, getting Mika sent off for 10, but like the team reacted with that. But yeah, like you said, it's for the kids, and I'm sure they would have. You know, they feel part of the community in France. We have a small group of community that follows rugby league, and they'll be there happy that we did this for them.
Well done tonight. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, guys.
Well done, the Catalan Dragons. Just a reminder that John Wells will be here with his analysis of that second half, and indeed the match itself in Super League extra time. If you press the red buttons, you'll be able to access that. But the Dragons have won here by 22 points to 12. 11